Hello, I'm Jim Canfield, President and Chief Operating Officer of Renaissance Executive Forums, and I'm pleased to welcome you to this year's Strategies for Success 2010. This year we'll explore the book Peak, How Great Companies Get Their Mojo from Maslow. And I'm here with Chip Conley, CEO and founder of the Joie de Vie Hospitality Group, and also author of the book Peak. So welcome, Chip.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So how did a kid from Long Beach, California end up being one of the largest hoteliers in the city of San Francisco, a city known for great hotels?
I think maybe it's partly because I actually was born in the shadow of Disneyland. I was actually literally born right near Disneyland, and I think the idea of creating a theme park in the form of a hotel is something that's very rooted in my history. But I grew up in Southern California, came up north to go to Stanford and to Stanford Business School. Thought that I was going to be living my calling out of Stanford Business School, working for a commercial real estate developer, developing old renovated buildings south of Market here in San Francisco. And I was bored. I didn't enjoy it. It was more of a job than a calling. And I started looking for another way to actually use my real estate expertise in a more creative way. And hotels, and specifically boutique hotels, was what I wanted to focus on. And at age 26, I started this company with an unpronounceable name, Joie de Vie, which means joy of life.
So talk about that first hotel.
Well, at 26, you don't know what you don't know. And I bought a motel. I'm not from a wealthy family, so I went out and raised $1 million and bought a motel in the inner city of San Francisco, a place called the Caravan Lodge that was sort of famous because it was a no-tell motel, which means they charged hourly rates. And I renamed it the Phoenix, the mythological bird that rose from its own ashes, and created a very niche-oriented product, which is, frankly, if you're a small business, being niche-oriented is usually a wise advice.
Right.
And the niche we went after was the kind of folks that the Hilton and the Marriott didn't want, which was musicians, rock and roll bands, artists and entertainers, creative folks who were on a budget. And lo and behold, that first funky little motel turned into a rock and roll hotel sensation where everybody from David Bowie to Linda Ronstadt started staying there. And in my late 20s, I realized this is my calling. And I grew Joie de Vie from there to now we're the second largest boutique hotelier in the US and the largest independent hotelier in California.
Now, in addition to some of the names you mentioned, Linda Ronstadt, the Rolling Stones, you also had another guest who was pretty influential in your thoughts around this chain.
Yeah, Dr. Timothy Leary, God rest his psychedelic soul. Famous Harvard hippie from the 1960s and 70s. In his 70s, when he was in his later years before he passed away, he would come to San Francisco a lot. And he actually would, every time he'd come, he'd stay at the Phoenix. He didn't fit the demographic of the Phoenix. He fit the psychographic of the Phoenix in terms of the personality of the hotel. But what he taught me along the way, in one particular conversation by the pool, was that my approach to business, he could see it because he saw me hugging the housekeepers, the maids, right. And he actually just commented. He said, come over here, I want to talk to you. And we had a conversation. He said, if I actually said this to my former hippie friends, they'd shoot me. But he said, business probably has the biggest ability to change the world, and it's all about how do business people shift their thinking to actually create an environment where they're creating, employees who actually are living their potential in their work. And so he was an admirer of mine from afar because he saw what we did with that little motel in the inner city.